to escape.
Yeah.
So now each one of these squares represents a signal or a symbol.
Exactly.
It tells
Exactly.
Okay.
And this is the story.
Oh, this is the story. Oh, okay.
And we would be happy to give you one of these slips.
Okay.
But now, okay, this is the monkey wrench.
Oh, you're right.
Yes,
You're
this
right.
is the monkey
That's
wrench.
the monkey wrench.
And usually a slave was the blacksmith.
Bill, how you going?
And he knew the land. And so, and of course, he used the monkey wrench.
Sure he did. He made it. Yes, he probably made the monkey wrench.
He probably did.
Oh, yeah.
And so he had, he knew the lay of the land.
Yeah.
And so he's got a lot of information for them. Most of them did not read or write.
You're right, but they understood symbols.
And they whispered the secrets of that.
Absolutely.
Of each one. Now, okay, this is an example. If a slave would see the black center of a log cabin,
Oh, okay.
they
Here's
knew
the
it
log.
was a safe house.
It was a safe
The safe houses
Oh.
started, like Harriet Tubman. She was, you probably know more about the story than I do.
Yes, but that's okay.
But she was married to somebody, Tubman.
Yes, John Tubman.
And she knew he was a free slave.
He was
a free black.
He was a free color.
But she was a slave. So she wanted to escape the South. Well, he didn't want to go. I think he was a coward.
Well, maybe not coward, but you have to understand also the history. There were black slaves that were very comfortable with their lifestyle if they had a good master.
Well, she wanted to get away because she knew they were going to sell her.
Yes, see, and divide the family.
And that's why Harriet was wanting to leave. Because that would take her away from everybody.
Oh, sure.
Because they were going to move her still further south.
Oh, to another plantation.
And I think that's absolutely horrible.
Yeah.
So anyway, so she wanted to, well, he said, first he said that'd be good, that he would go with her, and then he said no. So, she didn't tell him, she decided to go alone. Well, two brothers started with her. But the brothers decided they would get caught and be beaten
Or killed.
So they went back, and once they were caught, they got beat.
Yeah.
And so they decided to go back. So she ended up walking that 100 miles. She got into Pennsylvania. She went to Maryland.
Yes, and she made with the, I think it was the Dutch Reformation, because they had those safe houses in that part.
They had safe houses, and if you'd see this, hang on, you'd know it's a safe house. Each of these are symbols of the way you go. They hid them in wagons.
Okay, that's the wagon wheel.
And she had information about one person that would help her. She was even scared to go there because she thought it was a trick. But she had to go. So that person put her in a wagon and got her and showed her the way to go to the next area. They would provide them food and all. And one thing they told them to leave in the spring because, I mean, you think of how warm it was in the south, and then when they're going north, it's going to be cold.
It's going to get cold.
And to follow the bear track. And this is the bear's paw. And the reason was they would lead them to food like berries and water. And so that was a signal that they knew. And they'd always talk about provisions. That basket represents taking provisions with you. Like, for instance, they would need they would need some food, and they would need, if they had a compass, of course there was so little they had, but they would provide things for them along the way.
Along the way.
And if it had not been for those safe houses, and they would hide them in the attic, and their life was
in
at stake
danger.
too.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and there were a lot of blacks that helped, but there were also a lot of whites, different people along the way, thousands of people helped. And so it's just interesting.
Now this was like a ship.
Okay. Now, okay, that was when you got into Ohio. Cleveland was a crossroads.
Okay.
And there was like 4 or 5 different trails out of there where you could go. But you wanted...
Oh, you drew something.
Oh, thank you. That's why I put my quilt in.
Yes.
But if you would go on certain trails, a certain trail would take you in across to a boat to get you across the Erie, because Lake Erie, because the only safe place to go was Canada, because there was a law passed that even the free states, you could go in there and arrest them. So they, in order, Harriet ended up in Canada, but first she had gotten into Philadelphia.
Okay.
She worked there as a cook and washed dishes and everything in a kitchen.
Okay.
And made money, first time she's ever
Sure.
free. But then she said, I got to go back and get more. She ended up making 19 trips in 10 years. She freed over 300 slaves. Plus, then, the last trip she made, she brought her parents, and she had to bring them in a wagon because they were elderly by now. But she got them through, which that was a very dangerous trip for her.
Very dangerous.
But she got them through. Well, they ended up in Albany, New York, living there. But then, with the war coming, she wanted to help the North because the South did not want. And Abraham Lincoln was running for president, and the South didn't want him in, but the North.
Yeah, they wanted a united state.
So she worked for the Union.
Yeah.
The Union was the North.
Well, that was the North, and the Confederate was the South.
Right. And she worked for the...
Sure, well, the Confederate the Confederate had their own president. See, the Confederates, the Confederate States, well, they had their own president.
Oh, yes, they did. They united.
Yeah.
That's when West Virginia became a state after the war, because they pulled away from the Virginia. And I have a friend that she was at my house a few days ago, and I said, well, I'm going to go do this Underground Railroad thing. And I knew that her folks, her great-grandparents had been slave owners in Virginia. One of her great-grandparents was from Lexington. One's from Norfolk.
Okay.
And then, I forget right now where else.
Okay.
They had many, many acres. One of them had a lot of acreage, a lot of slaves. And she said one thing that my great-grandfather always said. Those 3 brothers weren't worth a tinker's damn, because they didn't do anything, because the slaves did everything. Now, they did go to fight. Oh, you have to go.
Yeah. But this was so interesting, Barbara. Thank you. Did you take all of that?
Yes. And your name again? Barbara. Okay, nice to meet you. Okay.
Do you have a paper? I can put it in my purse so that... So interesting, Barbara. Barbara, do you do these presentations at West Virginia University or various?
Oh, you should. I do them for my school, my Milford school.
Oh, Milford.